Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Today's video is sponsored by me again. So I wanted to let you know, if you didn't already, about some online photo training that I do. Everything from learning about Lightroom, learning about composition, learning about your camera, all the things in between. Additionally, I've just launched a photo feedback session, which is 45 minutes for you to get feedback on your portfolio, a sequence of photos, maybe something from a recent trip or event you photographed, and that is available at the link down below. Additionally, for the online photo training, what I do is a 30-minute free session initially, so we can kind of see what you want to do, see if it's a good fit for you. So no obligation, no cost for that free session for 30 minutes. So I look forward to seeing you there online and helping you with your photography adventures. For today's video, I'm going back to Bellevue because it's been a minute or two, so I can't stay away for too long. But this time I'm doing something different. I'm taking my original Fuji X camera, which is the Fujifilm X-T1. I'm kind of going old school here. I'm taking the X-T1 and the 18-135, which was my original lens for this camera. So I'm going to try it. I've had the X-H2S for almost 3 months now. And it's kind of fun to go back and see what the changes are. Do a different photo experience with a different camera, the old school 8-year-old camera, and see what it's like versus the new guy. In addition to the 18-135, I'm going to keep it kind of simple. I'm going with the Viltrox 23mm f1.4 and the Viltrox 13mm f1.4. So there you go. We're headed to Bellevue on a fall morning. It's a little chilly. That's why the flannel for now. It's supposed to warm up to the mid-70s. So that's the weather forecast. I will see you on the other side of the photos. So until then, bye for now. Hello again, Future Michael here with just a quick note. You're going to notice in some of these photos some haze, and that's not from the X-T1. That's because we had some weather conditions, some wind patterns that changed and brought some wildfire smoke up from southern Washington and Oregon. So it's not a defect in the X-T1. It's all about haze from forest fire. So on with the photos. Here you go. there you have it, some photos from downtown Bellevue with my X-T1, a camera from 2014, taking photos in 2022. Short version on the photos, some opinions, some thoughts. I was really impressed with how good the photos looked. I have zero complaints about the photos from an 8-year-old camera, and it's just a powerful reminder that the imaging tech hasn't probably improved that much, hasn't seen a real dramatic improvement over that time. I mean, they are better and there's some small changes, but overall, they're great images. I really like them. Yay for 8-year-old tech. It's pretty surprising as far as the images. So what I want to do next is share some thoughts on using an 8-year-old camera after using the newest, latest, and greatest for the past 3 months, the X-H2S. And the main thing I notice as a difference is speed. Everything happens much more slowly on the X-T1. Another thing that was kind of fun to see was the evolution of the control dials along the way. On this older X-T1, you have to push down a locking pin to switch ISO, which I forgot about, and it was frustrating at first. Also, obviously, it's a lot smaller camera than the X-H2S. So getting used to that different size and the handling was also interesting. I did really quickly adjust back to the top command dials for exposure. I'm still learning on the X-H2S using the command dials instead of the control dials. So back to some thoughts on the speed, or actually the lack thereof, on the X-T1. Focusing was much slower. Oh my goodness. Even though it was a lot slower, it worked, and I was able to get the photos I wanted. I mean, it helped that I wasn't in really challenging situations with focus. Most of the subjects weren't moving or were moving slowly. So I was creating the photos and being frustrated with how slow the focusing was. I remembered that when I first got the camera, I really wasn't frustrated with focusing speed. I didn't know it because I hadn't had an experience of much better autofocus. So it's interesting how our expectations change. And in addition to how our expectations change, it's fascinating how we can adjust and get used to what we already have, and it's not as big a deal as sometimes we make it out to in our YouTube videos. One of the other places that the X-T1 is a lot slower is in shutter pressing and creating photos. So here's what I mean by that. There's not quite a lag, but it's not as instantaneous when you push the shutter and it creates the photo. Another thing that's kind of wild and I had forgotten about is the sound that the X-T1 makes versus the X-H2S and how it feels slower because of the sound. Here's what I mean. So the shutter speed right now is at 1/500, and I'm going to take a photo. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. It sounds like that shutter speed is like 1/15th or 1/30th of a second. It sounds like a really slow, long duration shutter speed. So when I first was out making photos with this, I was double checking my shutter speed all the time to make sure I wasn't incorrect in what I was thinking the shutter speed was. Another thing related to the speed and responsiveness of the camera that I noticed is very, very different in the X-T1 versus the H2S is the responsiveness of the shutter and being able to quickly create multiple photos without necessarily moving the drive mode dial to continuous low or continuous high. I've gotten used to on the H2S I can do a burst mode just by quick presses, but I can't really do that on the T1. It's much slower. It's wait, and it's you can maybe do 1 or 2 frames per second, where I can do 4, 5, 6 frames per second with a quick press on the H2S. One of the things that happened as a result of having a camera that's not as responsive and is a little slower is I slowed down a little bit too. So I was being a little more careful in looking for photos. I was walking more slowly and taking my time. So that's something I need to remember when I'm working with the faster camera again when I pick it up next time. So what's the lesson learned from using an 8-year-old camera to create photos? And I think a couple things overall. One is even 8-year-old cameras, which isn't that long ago, can create really wonderful looking photos. Technically, they look great. Aesthetically, they look great. So that's fun. It's more than about the experience of creating the photos due to all the things that go into the photo making experience, from autofocus speed, responsiveness in general, the brightness of the displays, the handling physically of the camera, and the controls. So for me, this is a really powerful reminder that creating photos is as much about the experience and the process of creating the photos as the end result. What I mean by that is, if I was having to use this camera every day all the time now, I wouldn't enjoy it as much, because I know what's possible to improve it because I've experienced it and I've lived it in the 3 generations since I've had this camera. So as you're thinking about potentially upgrading a camera or getting a new one or getting the first camera, one of the things to factor in your decision is the experience of using it. And my suggestion always to folks is, when they're thinking about a new camera, is to go to a physical camera store if at all possible. Put your hands on one, see how the camera feels to you, how all the controls work for you, if you understand the layout, how the menu system feels, all those things that go into the photo creating experience with a digital camera. You can't find that out for yourself from a YouTube review, as much as we want you to. So it was a great experience creating photos again with this camera. It was a trip down memory lane. It was a reminder of a time when I started getting more into photography again in a more personal way rather than just strictly professional. And this camera system was a great help in getting me there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the photos and some thoughts on using an older camera. If you've got an older camera laying around, I highly recommend taking it out and take a trip down memory lane to see how it works and all the experiences and how they're different. If nothing else, it'll help you appreciate your current camera even more. Speaking of current cameras, next week's video will be a 3-month update, kind of not a final review, but some more complete thoughts on the X-H2S now that I've been using it for 3 months. So I'd love to see you there. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up on the like button. That helps this video get out to more people, which is always appreciated. And it also helps you by training the YouTube algorithm to videos you like, so you'll see more of them. Also, if you want to see next week's video in a more easy way, if you subscribe to this channel, the YouTube algorithm may just show it to you the next time you come to the homepage when the video is launched. As always, I also welcome your comments. So I'd love to hear what you're thinking about this video, your experiences with maybe using older cameras, newer cameras, all that stuff. And I look forward to having a conversation with you in the comments below. So that's it for now. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, or an old video if you're going to watch one of those. And until then, stay safe, stay well, and have fun creating photos. Bye for now.